أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, thank you guys for joining every single week since the start of this year. And again, we're here for ourselves. SubhanAllah, when you're in class for 3 hours and you're in seminars, literally you lose yourself for a bit. You start to just zone out, you get tired, sleepy. I nearly fell asleep today. SubhanAllah, you start to feel it. You really need Islam every single day, something that you're doing. Because if you're not doing it, you miss one day, you miss 2 hours, it's gonna get to you. SubhanAllah. It's like you don't exercise. Mr. Mahdi, what happens to you?
You completely lose your daily routine is
If you
gone.
haven't exercised in 2 weeks and done nothing, you've just been on a desk, how are you gonna feel?
All the progress is gone. You feel like absolutely.
That's like spiritually, that's what happens to your heart, subhanAllah. And it's harder to see, but you feel it, So that's what today, inshallah, we're going to talk about a really interesting topic. And I want to add a little fun twist to it, inshallah, make us think about different examples. Because if you think about different examples, you can understand something a lot deeper. So we're going to talk about the hustle and the barakah culture, inshallah. So you probably would have heard of hustle culture. You see it everywhere. Meet the firms, or hustle culture is a lifestyle. It glorifies, yeah, being constantly busy, always chasing more money and more achievements, more status, higher WAM score, um, CEO, whatever. It glorifies you going up that. Now, what the problem with it is, does it have an end? What happens when you become CEO of one company? You want to acquire another company and another company. Then once you get a lot of capital, you want to invest. And then once you invest in a few properties, you want to invest interstate, overseas, and you've got a child. You want your child to go to uni, get a high WAM, blah, 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 and then you're in a deathbed. So that's pretty much the end of it. That's your lifestyle. It's a constant chase, and then you earn all this money, you take it to the grave, and you realize you can't take it in your pocket in the grave, and then now your kids are fighting over inheritance, who's getting what share. The older brother wants the double the amount, the sister wants half the amount. People are fighting about the property in Greenvale, who's going to get it. You know what I mean? The beanbag, who does it belong to? Abbas has a letter saying, nah, it belongs to me. He said that to me before he died. Then the lawyers are fighting. That's what happens when you follow hustle culture. It's a never-ending cycle of just more, 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 more. You not only feel exhausted, you not only feel anxious, you not only start to comparing yourself. Or comparing is a very big thing. You're going to compare yourself. Undoubtedly, if you're in this path, you are going to compare yourself to someone. A lot of people actually, subhanAllah, you'll be on LinkedIn scrolling saying, how come he's my age and he's doing this and I'm not doing this? Get off LinkedIn, just don't worry about it. Allah's the Ar-Razzaq, will give you the job, don't worry. You know what I mean? Um, Now, we're going to contrast this with Barakah culture, which is this idea of the divine goodness. Knowing that if you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by your side, it's like whatever you choose to put your time in, whatever you choose to put your effort in, it will grow into a beautiful flower, it will sprout, it will become beautiful. So it's not about doing more, it's about putting more into what you already do. You know? And this is a very important concept. Assalamu alaikum. You found your earphone? Where was it sitting? On a table and no one touched it.
On the lecturer's desk. Somebody found it. They probably got the teacher.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Welcome back. So we're talking about hustle culture and barakah culture. So Mahdi, if you can explain.
Basically, it's kind of like a never-ending chase of fulfillment, right? You never really feel content with what you have. It's just whatever you have, you think you have to aspire more now just to feel complete. But that can lead to being constant as
Yeah. So if you're in medicine, for example, okay, first year, you have some people who've done all the content before they even started the year. Some people who don't know what they're doing. People are trying to they don't want to go rural. People want to go local. Everyone's fighting over it. You're in the hospital, you're working again, again, again. Then some people are doing research in their final year. Some don't do medical research. Some are doing, they want to specialize. Some don't. So you got another exam. It's a never-ending cycle, right? Doesn't matter what you're doing, where you're constantly there's no barakah in your time. You're just constantly unhappy with where you're at. You check your bank, your savings account. It's going up slowly, but you're not happy with how fast it's going up. You want it to go up faster. You start to get stingy. You want to go buy a meal for $30, even if you've got 6,000 in your account. $20 is a lot of money for you, so you don't really care. You start to become very stingy. You try to find ways to just avoid being generous because that gets you away from your goal of going up the ladder, right? And barakah culture is the opposite. It's realizing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by your side. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stated, richness is not having many possessions, but true richness is being content in the soul. It's being happy in the soul. It's being in your heart, feeling that sense of contentment. You can have everything. Well, I've seen it. I do with a lot of families. Some families have millions, some don't. And sometimes there are some families that have so much, and I see it, but their children are not good. Or for example, they buy all these items and it faulty, breaks down, and let's say you want to get a desk, you end up spending $6,000 to get a desk. Someone else, $20, Gumtree grabs it. It's the best quality ever. Like, it's not about having many things. It's about having quality things with barakah in it. So true richness is being content in your soul with what you have. Some days you've got, sometimes you don't. I've had students, just yesterday, one of my students called me. He said, parents lost their job. They want a stable job. Dad's got a beard, was a thobe. They made him redundant and they put an Australian instead. Like things like this happen where you're discriminated against, where you're going to lose things, and you just got to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for you, most undoubtedly. So Imam Nawawi, do you know Imam Nawawi? Yeah? He's the man that compiled the famous 40 hadiths. That you would have heard one of the hadiths, undoubtedly. He passed away. Guess how old he was when he passed away? How old do you think he was? Someone that made the 40 hadiths, he's contributed books, like stacked all the way to the top.
30.
78, 95, 102, right? 62, 45.
Oh, 41.
He made more than 40 books. Now I know like you're like, okay, 40 books, yeah, whatever. Like Nawawi, Imam Nawawi, that Nawawi. More than 40 books. Like, do you know how long it takes to make one of these books? People spend their life making a book. Yeah, it's all researched, cross-referenced. He left over 40. Now 45, imagine how many books a year is he doing? Let's say he started at 20 or 25. Like every year he's making a few books. Imagine, I don't know what age he started. Does anyone know? But if he started at, like, let's say 35 or 28, that's a few books a year minimum. Some books are thick. Some books are every page has been like properly referenced and the isnad and the chain and the hadith. It's not like, oh, let me just chat GBT, chuck stuff in. You know what I mean? It's a proper book. So when they asked him how did he achieve so much, he said, his students said, he had sincerity and Allah placed barakah in his time. This is very important. If you have Allah by your side and you decide to do anything with your life, wallah, I know it might sound impossible and this might sound like I'm waffling, but this is very true. You can put a little bit and you will literally finish things and people need months to do it. I'm telling you. Let's say you're studying a course at Monash, for example. Some people, they spend the whole time and they still don't understand the concept. Someone sits there for half a day, they've done 12 weeks. Maybe some of you have done that out of necessity. You know? SubhanAllah. Sometimes you just put a little bit of time and you get so much back. And in Surah Hud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, there is no moving creature on earth, but that its provision is upon Allah. You see the birds flying, the ducks, you see all these animals. Some of them don't even try and search for food. It comes to them. The rizq comes to them. Allah's the one that's the provider. The last thing you want to be thinking is the reason why I've got 10,000 in my Commonwealth bank account or ANZ account because of me, because I worked hard, because I stayed late. Hey, get out of here, bro. Who do you think you are? You know what I mean? You're nothing. Who paid you? Your employer. Okay. Your employer, some people, they make the mistake of thinking their employer is God. Now that sounds a bit crazy, but hear me out. Some people, they don't wake up in the morning, right? But if the boss says wake up at 4 a.m., I'll double your pay for a few hours, you're going to be there? Yeah, you'll be there. If the boss says you're getting paid $30, like I'm on a times 3, you're going to get 90 for a couple of hours, wake up at 3 a.m. You're going to be there? It's a hajr, bro. You'll make it. If you have to do it for a whole week, would you do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. So Allah's commanding you to wake up in the morning. Maybe, maybe not, depends on how I feel. Boss says it. So who do you value more? With your actions. Your boss. Do you get what I mean?
You'd want to value Allah.
You'd want to value Allah, but like with your actions, what are you actually doing? Like, Anyone can say, of course, God, but actions speak louder than words, bro. It's about you. What do you do? What's your habits? Can't be drinking alcohol and say, yeah, of course, Allah. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. Now, the Prophet ﷺ was in the trade field before he received revelation. And he was known for having such a beautiful reputation. He was called Al-Amin, the trustworthy. Now, like, just think about that for a second. Would people call you Al-Amin? Like, think about your actions. Like, I don't think about myself. I don't think anyone will call me Al-Amin. Like, you remember examples of things that you've done. You're like, nah, that's not. You know what I mean? You guys think of some examples like, nah, I can't be called Al-Amin. The do I have integrity? I try to, but not always. Imagine having that reputation, because in order to have a reputation, right? If you wrong one person, your reputation's done. Even if you just indirectly be a bit shifty, one person out of thousands, they'll spread the word like poison. Everyone will find out. He literally treated everyone so well that the entire community, no one had a chuck or even a doubt about him. That's like an impossible thing to achieve, to have such a reputation. There's always someone that's going to talk about you, bro. Even the people that shake your hand, surely some of them will talk about you behind your back. I'll say, yeah, look, I like him, but he smiles too much, or he's a bit shifty, or I don't trust him with business, or you know, everyone's got something to say. Imagine have that reputation, bro. Now I'm gonna give you guys two scenarios, two barakah scenarios. You tell me which one has more barakah and why. So we have Ahmed and we have Zain. Okay, two people. Ahmed and Zain. So Ahmed, he owns three restaurants, Allahumma barik. Got one in Carlton, Narra Warren, and Canterbury. All right. He's open 24/7. He's got staff at all times. He earns three times for every single restaurant. He's making millions a year. His staff turnover is very, very high. He hasn't prayed Fajr in a year. He makes sure he's especially open in Jummah time for the people that want to skip it. His marriage is on the rocks and about to break down. Now we have Ahmed. Right? He runs a halal cafe up in the northern suburbs in Preston. All right, you've got a local visitor. um, One time the brother went to go at Jummah time, but he forgot it was Jummah, and he's like, "Oh, the shop's closed," and he reminded him to go pray. So he's always closed in Jummah time. He pays all his employees fairly, so he pays them a lot more than all the other bosses pay. He quietly gives to charity. So if he earns $850 in a day, he'll quietly give $65 to charity. And if he sees a homeless person, he'll feed them for free. And he always starts his day with Quran. Who's got more barakah and why?
Ahmed,
Why?
because his cafe is halal, closed during Juma, which encourages people, go and pray instead of lounging at his cafe and drinking. He's more charitable as well. He knows that his wealth is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not something that he just acquired himself. And yeah, he also always starts the day with Quran, never skips Fajr. And Zayn is like, he doesn't do any of it.
Zayn's a millionaire.
More like he's a millionaire, but he's boastful about it.
And his interpersonal relationships are falling apart
Uh-huh.
in his life.
Also, like if someone has down to a T, it's like one of them implements Allah in his life, other one
Yeah.
neglects.
No neglects. But Ahmed's got millions. What if he decides, you know what, look, I'll get my money first and then later in my life I'll start giving? What would you say to Ahmed?
Later is not guaranteed.
There's no barakah in that.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you, man? Alhamdulillah. It's nice to see you, bro. Bye. He was also part of the year before.
Yeah.
Would you say the action of the Zayn, having his store open during Jummah, would you say that's something you condemn?
No, but him being there is something I'd condemn.
Because
Yeah.
my point is like, so let's say Zayn's business is reliant on him being open at a certain time. Okay, let's not say Jummah. Let's say he's a business inside. Yeah, have you heard of Tibas International?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's there's one in Southeast in
And
250,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
they do, yeah.
A lot of their business is reliant on iftar time, Tarawih time, people come in, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of their revenue is generated from that time. But a lot of the employees are obviously missing Tarawih or they're missing a lot of the big actions of Ibadah. But that's how they generate their revenue that can feed their families, right? Would you say that's condemnable? Because yes, like in just for my outside holistic view, they're choosing dunya over akhirah technically. Would you say that's something you condemn?
I wouldn't use the word condemn. Like if it's like something like Taraweeh, it's not fard. You don't have to go. You know, if you're in a financial situation and you need to start paying for your hex debt, or you're in a situation where you got to start paying for your fees, Allah knows your niyyah, right? If it's just a matter of I'm in a really comfortable position, I want to go work through Taraweeh, and I also will work through Jummah. That's the problem. Like the people who work through Jummah, the business owner that's in the business during Jummah time, like if you've got non-Muslim workers and non-Muslim customers coming in during Friday prayer time, that's fine. You know what I mean? But if you're telling Muslim employees, hey, it's Jummah time, it's right, you know, it's just you can skip two, but you can't skip three, all right, technically, you know? So do two, then do every 3 weeks, go Jummah and take 2 weeks off. You know, Islamically, you're fine. That's when you have problems, if that makes sense. So it's not condemnatory. It's more just we're talking about levels of barakah. That's all we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not talking about whether it's right or wrong. We're talking about which one will get you the maximum return in your akhirah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so the big thing is Zayn is earning millions. Ahmad is not earning millions. But Zayn's marriage is on going downhill. How much money can he spend to fix his marriage?
All of it, but nothing.
There you go. So the big problem you see with people like Zayn, yeah, and is that they have a lot of money, but it just goes down the drain. They have a lot. A, they're too stingy to spend. They don't even pay their own employees good. B, when they do decide to spend, their family's not even grateful. So they'll go buy dinner, a massive 50,000, $5,000 dinner. 100 people, no one's grateful. They're still talking about him. All these millions, he didn't pay his employees, and now he's making a dinner. Everyone's got to complain about him. C, own wife isn't happy with him because why are you spending so much time? Why are you missing your prayers? Why are you treating us badly? So at the end of the day, he has no option but to spend it, trying to get his marriage back. And it's a constant cycle of suffering. You've got this money, but it's causing you torture. Whereas Ahmad, with his halal business, over time, he's going to have a very strong saving amount because Allah's already written your rizq. It's already been written. Ahmad could surpass Zayn. Does that make sense? Ahmad could get one business deal from one customer that likes him for his character, calls him Al-Amin, and says, hey man, I'm opening a motel in South Australia. You want to be a co-investor? You want to acquire it with me? And now Ahmad can become a millionaire very, very quickly because the people trust him. Does that make sense? So if you have that mindset, sorry for that.
أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة
حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Yeah. Isn't that not the most beautiful adhan ever? SubhanAllah, man.
Does anyone know the recital?
I wish. Does anyone know?
Everything Preston.
Preston Moss.
Preston got the best one.
No, must.
Masjid. Inshallah, I reckon we'll go 5 minutes and then we'll pray together. The Iqamah is in 6:40, yeah?
Sure.
And hopefully, inshallah, I reckon we'll be done as well. So, inshallah. We'll keep it small, quick, sharp, inshallah. So, as we were saying, we're talking about the idea of basing your business around a barakah. Now, I'll explain to you why, if you run a business or if you do anything with your life, you need to focus on pleasing Allah through it. Let me explain to you why. I'll give you a lot of examples. Let's go. So, number one. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Rasul ﷺ states, charity does not decrease you in wealth. Now, how does that work? How does that logically make sense? If I give, how am I going to get? If I'm dropping my account, how am I going to get more? Is it metaphorical? Am I actually going to get paid more? What's the go with this hadith? So, in business, if you have someone who's struggling in business, number one, offer free services to people struggling. Number two, discounts for single mums, students, elderly, anyone that you believe in your heart genuinely is struggling. Three, if someone pays you late, forgive them and tell them it's okay. Don't be like, bro, why did you pay me late? Cause a problem. Forgive for the sake of Allah. Number four, if someone can't afford something, you're getting a meal, someone can't pay for it, go pay for it for them. Don't try and milk them. That makes sense? And if someone asks you, why are you doing this? Tell them that this is from Allah, this is not from me. Now, some people would say that's really bad business. What a horrible business strategy. There was a tailor in Medina. He was known by everyone to undercharge poor clients, and he'd even stitch clothes for free. So people would be like, man, don't you lose money? He replied, every time I do it, Allah sends me 3 more customers, and they pay more than what I gave away. So it's like an equation. The more I give to someone, the more I'm going to get. Like it's an actual equation. SubhanAllah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states that you should give Him a goodly loan. Now, can you give a loan to God? Like logically doesn't mean, how can you give a loan? You get a loan from the bank. You give a loan to God? How does that work? When you gift for the sake of Allah, whether you help someone out, Allah, it's a loan. Allah will return for you much more than you give. That's what's called a goodly loan. And so, subhanAllah, charity is really, really a spiritual business tool. It opens the doors for rizq. It softens the hearts of the people that you spend time with. They become soft to you, bro. They become more forgiving. They want to recommend people. They want to help you. It builds a business that's loved by Allah. Not a business that has no barakah. You wake up empty. You're getting paid, but you feel your relationships are getting destroyed, like Zayn. You know, it protects you from evil eye, from envy. Your business is not going to shut down from some. Allah will protect you. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, spend in charity, O son of Adam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Hadith Qudsi, spend in charity, O son of Adam, and I shall spend on you. Now, subhanAllah, I've also noticed this in my own life with my own business. Every single time, subhanAllah, I try and give to someone, or like for example, there was a time where I was owed 3 invoices, big invoices, months of work. And I'm like, they're not going to pay. They're just not going to pay. You follow up, they've always got a reason, they've always got an excuse. SubhanAllah, and it was getting to me. And I decided to go to the masjid on Dhuhr time around now, walking to mosque. And I just went by myself and I started praying. And I'm like, Ya Allah, I forgive them. It's alright, I forgive. Once I finished my prayer and I said, Salaam alaikum wa barakatuh, Salaam alaikum wa barakatuh, Wallahi al-Azim, all three were paid during the prayer. All three. Three different people at the exact same time, bro. Same minute. Three, and they all sent an apology message. And I'm like, bro, that's not a coincidence. That's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm like, these guys, I could have met them, tried to persuade them, tried to speak with them. It wasn't going to work. Their hearts were closed. They don't want to pay it. You know, they owe so many others. They chose to pay me instead of the other people they owe. So did you get what I mean? This is the concept of barakah. Does that make sense? Sometimes, for example, I'll go, you know, and I'm sharing this just for the sake of Allah. So you guys, when you try this, it's an example. Sometimes I might pay for a meal for someone or do something like this small. The moment I even think about anything that I've done, already Allah sent me someone else that's paid double every single time. For the last 6 years, every single time I've given someone something, the same day, someone gives me double, triple, sometimes times 10. The exact same day, I don't know how, I don't know where, random phone call at 10 p.m., and they have no problem with price. No issue with price, and they're willing to pay 10 times more as well. But when I don't give, and I'm stingy, I'm actually getting a much lower amount, and it's even harder, and you're haggling with people, and you don't have any barakah. Anyways, that's the end of the barakah halaqa. We're going to do a Q&A after the prayer, inshallah. Okay?